So very good morning everyone.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
सर कैमरा ऑन नहीं है आपका।
तो कैमरा ऑन करना है क्या?
हाँ जी सर।
ये जो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम्स है बहुत हैवी है
सर कैमरा रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं हो पाएगी ना सर।
और अगर मैंने कैमरा ऑन किया तो आपकी बैटरी और ये डेटा बहुत खर्च करेगा। तो मैं शुरू के 1-2 मिनट के लिए ऑन कर देता हूँ, बट उसके बाद फिर मैं ऑफ ही करता हूँ इसे। I'll just introduce myself and then I'll leave this camera. I'll switch off the camera. So good morning everyone, and I'm HARENDRA TIWARI, Associate Professor in Shri Ram College of Commerce. I don't know whether you have ever studied the books written by me or not on financial accounting with the Bhushan Kumar Goel sir and computer applications in business. I don't know whether you have studied or not. I've been teaching this paper in this SOL MCOM since 2012. That was my first batch. I was on study leave, so could not teach this paper last year. In 2019, I could not teach it, but rest of the years I have been teaching it. And I'm doing my PhD in corporate finance only. That is my core area of interest. And I just believe that we people will be enjoying our interactions throughout, and there's a good number of good strength of students. I can just see 110 students are there. Who is Kanchan Rustagi, by the way? May I know? Who is host
Sir,
also?
I'm from SOL staff.
Should I start the class now?
Start.
Right. So I'll start the lecture now, and we have been allocated a few lectures. As you know the timetable, I just saw 8 lectures are there. I don't generally it takes 15-16 lectures to complete the entire syllabus, but I would like to utilize and deliver the maximum possible within the given time frame that we have. And let me start straight away with the different concepts. If you want to raise a query, you can ask a query. There's no problem in between. You can ask. And also, today I will be more discussing on the concept building, and the idea is to understand finance and everything. And next class onwards, I will be sharing some questions to you. Kanchan madam, if I upload the questions in this group, will these students be able to see them? अगर मैं इसको अपलोड कर दूं आगे से क्वेश्चंस, तो बच्चे देख पाएंगे क्या नेक्स्ट क्लास से?
Sir, we do have Google Classroom, so if it's possible, you can just create your subject class over there and you can share the material and we would be able to access that.
I think a better option will be that one of you people quickly share your what's called mobile number with me, and I can share the same thing to you people. So you can share it in your class group.
Sir, we have Pratibha as a CR, so yeah, she'll just contact you after the class probably.
Okay, fine. Is Pratibha present right now?
No, sir. Today she is busy. I think she is not in the classroom today.
Okay, no problem. So she can contact me and I will share the details with her. Okay, so I hope you will enjoy the lectures. You can raise your queries whenever you want, there's no problem. But yes, we should be doing it in such a way that the disturbance is minimized, right? And please, before I start the discussion, you will have to understand a few things and remember a few things, and that is that you don't have to, I don't know how detailed study you have done for your financial management. The financial management paper that you have studied in your +2, in your BCom, that's actually known as corporate finance. And sometimes I've seen that people don't know the name corporate finance. Corporate finance is managing the finances of corporates, right? And personal finance is managing your own or maximize the wealth of corporates, right? So that's how we define all these. And in corporate finance, I don't know, because in physical mode, though, I used to interact with you people for a few minutes. So I could guess what is the level of understanding of a few things that are there. But since the number of lectures are smaller and it's online mode, I will be speaking more and I'll take up your queries later. Now coming back to what I wanted to say. At this stage in post-graduation, it's more important to understand the logic behind doing something as compared to formulas. Please remember, theories do not derive formula. Rather, formulas do not derive theories. Rather, theories derive formula. So it's important to understand the theory, the logic behind deriving a formula, right? What is a model? A model is a relationship between two or more variables. Now, how those two or more variables will interact with each other, that is defined by the theory and the underlying assumption. So whatever you have studied, for some time you will have to unlearn because it is difficult to grasp new things with whatever learning you have. So just unlearn those things and try to relearn them. And when you try to relearn, just look at the logic and try to question the things, right? Because most of you will become teachers after, and some of you will go to management, maybe companies and corporates, and you will have to understand and appreciate the logic behind it, right? Now, when I was discussing with you people, a few things that you people must understand and must remember, right? Now, what is the basic thing that you need to take care in finance? Number one, the four pillars I would rather say you will have to take care of, right? One is risk, other is return, other is incremental cash flow. Right? And then opportunity cost. Now, these things you will have to keep in mind always while taking a decision. Now, what are the decisions that you people are taking? Can anyone answer me? What is the scope of financial management? The corporate finance that you are managing, what is the scope? What are the major decisions you take?
Good morning,
Sir,
sir.
basically it's to
Investment
invest
decision.
Dividend.
आप क्या कर सकते हो? You can raise
dividend
your hand and
decisions.
I'll allow one by one to speak. Yes. Yes, Sakshi, speak. Sure.
Making financial
Sophia
decisions, investment decisions,
What do you mean by investment decisions?
dividend decisions. So where to invest, like in long term or in short term?
Okay. Shubhi Mittal,
Good morning, sir.
good
Sir,
morning.
scope of financial management includes procurement of fund, investment of fund,
Hmm.
and optimum utilization of funds, basically, from the
Okay.
procurement. It
Okay.
starts from the procurement.
Okay. Shubhi,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So now you can lower your hands. Yeah, Sophia wanted to say something. Yes, Sophia. Sophia wanted to say something. Okay. So let's.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say the same thing, like the investment decisions, the dividend decisions, and the decisions related to the financial structure and other things. These
Right.
all
Right.
include in finance.
Right. Right. Now, please understand and appreciate one thing. Initial, now finance as a discipline of study came later. So this is much more related with economics, right? The initial corporate managers were more interested in funding. From where we will get the funding easily. So more emphasis was on procurement. And there was a problem because where I should get easily where I should get the funds easily from, there was an external intervention in management of the finances or business. The fund provider used to have a say. So do like this, do like that. And that if there is an external party who is involved in managing your business, providing fund, then definitely the decisions you will take will benefit him for sure. But whether it is in interest of the firm or the business or not is a different thing. Now there was a separation of ownership from management. And it was believed that the owners have a role to give the money, or the fund providers have a role to give the money to the corporate, and the corporate managers will utilize those money to the best possible manner so that the wealth of the owners rise. The wealth of the owners are maximized. So please appreciate wealth. What is wealth? So we will be answering this answer, wealth. Now the managers who are there, they are theoretically different and owners are theoretically different. There are two groups of people now here. But does it really happen? Take the case of India. I have downloaded data of 1102 companies and have found that 65% of the directors, executive position people on, there's a concept called KMP, key managerial personnel. 65% of companies show promoters being at key managerial personnel. In India. And it is not only for India, all Asian and South Asian countries have the same kind of feature. The promoters are basically just hold on. At the key managerial positions. Now this is good or this is bad. You just think. Now what happens that there are theories, right? That if the owners are the managers, then the objective of management and objective of ownership are aligned because both are same person. So there is no agency conflict. Now what is agency conflict then? Now I'm just giving you theoretical background, right? And try to appreciate that what are you doing in financial management and why are you doing in financial management, right? Just giving you here and there the structure, that trying to make an understanding of the whole context. What is agency conflict then? The agency conflict is that the managers are agents of owners and they are supposed to act in the interest of owners. So whatever decisions that they take, it should be for betterment of ownership's wealth. Does it really happen or not? That's another question. Sometimes management does what? If there's an extra cash, They eat that cash in the form of purchase. Or sometimes they believe in asset building and they keep on building assets. And building assets may or may not be fruitful for owners. So how should they manage the funds? So there are again two approaches. One is profit maximization and wealth maximization. What should be the approach? Should it be profit maximization or wealth maximization? And the question is how both are different. That's important. So when the promoters are at key managerial positions, this agency conflict that the management will not work in the interest of their own, but they will be working in the interest of ownership. This conflict is reduced. Why? Because the owners and managers are same. So whatever they will be doing, the owner's interest and manager's interest both are aligned, both are same. So it can then there is no conflict kind of thing. Both will try to do the same. What? Maximize. What to maximize? The owner's wealth. So this takes us to the discussion of the two approaches of profit. I know that you people have already studied these, so I will not spend much time on this. So what are the approaches of financial management? Tell me please, what do you mean by profit maximization and wealth maximization? How these are different? Is it possible to maximize wealth without maximizing profit? How do you think that these are two different paradigms? Yes, who would like to answer? Raise your hands. How profit maximization is different than wealth maximization? And what should be the objective of corporate managers? Okay, Sophia, yes?
Sir, profit maximization basically relates to a particular year or the next year anyway. But wealth maximization is a concept that keep going on. Like wealth is something that has to be like in store. So it is taken care of in a wider sense, and profit maximization is a narrow term. That's what I can
Ashit,
think of.
कोई नहीं. Good attempt. हाँ Ashit.
Sir, maximization is
Sorry. Wait.
sir, wealth maximization is the concept which we
आशित आपकी वॉइस नहीं आ रही है, शायद नेटवर्क इशू है. मैं इतने में फिर किसी और को अलाउ करता हूँ. मानसी प्लीज.
So profit maximization is basically short term, where we deal with like yearly basis profit, whereas the wealth maximization is the focuses on the overall value of the business.
Vishakha.
Sir, I agree with Mansi. My answer is quite same that profit maximization is for short term, whereas wealth maximization is for building the whole.
मुझे समझाओ विशाखा, मुझे समझाओ कि ये शॉर्ट टर्म और ये लॉन्ग टर्म कैसे है. मतलब ऐसा थोड़ी कि प्रॉफिट इस साल कमाना है और नेक्स्ट साल नहीं कमाना है मुझे.
Sir, according
शॉर्ट टर्म लॉन्ग टर्म कैसे है?
Sir, according to me, profit maximization will focus on the particular year's profit, I guess.
वो तो ठीक है, ईयर बाय ईयर जो आपके प्लान बनेंगे, एक होता है ना विजन, एक होता है मिशन, एक होता है गोल, एक होता है ऑब्जेक्टिव. तो ऑब्जेक्टिव होगा वो तो आपको छोटे छोटे पैरामीटर्स, क्वार्टरली प्रॉफिट्स भी आप डिटरमिन कर सकते हो. ऐसा थोड़ी कि अगर जब वेल्थ मैक्सिमाइजेशन को अप्रोच मानेंगे तो उसमें प्रॉफिट्स पर फोकस नहीं करेंगे. वो क्या डिफरेंशिएटिंग पॉइंट है?
sir, wealth
Sir,
maximization.
I'm not sure with it.
Hello, sir.
Okay, Neeraj wanted to speak something. हाँ नीरज बोलो.
Yes, sir.
Sir, if wealth maximization means if Mr. X purchase 100 share of ABC company at 100, his wealth in company is 10,000. After some time, market price increase to 130, his wealth will be increased by 3,000. Or if market price come down to 90 or 80, his wealth will be decreased by 1,000 or 2,000 as the case may be.
Okay, right. What else?
So जो
Sir, if the
profit
company wants
maximization
to,
नहीं, अभी एक
Sir,
एक मानसी 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 प्लीज हाँ
sir, if
देखो
the
मैं आपको
company wants
सोचने
to
का टाइम दे रहा
maximize their
हूँ जब
profit,
नेक्स्ट टाइम से जब प्रैक्टिकल शुरू होंगे तो शायद सोचने का टाइम नहीं मिलेगा आपको बट आप सोचो आपको सोचना है यू आर दी टीचर्स द फ्यूचर टीचर्स build your logics and your answer should be logical. हाँ मानसी
so if the company wants to maximize their profits, they would increase their prices of the products to increase the margins. Whereas if the company wants to
मानसी एक
increase
आंसर
their
करो
wealth,
मुझे मानसी एक आंसर करो मुझे in
yes, sir.
I just met a CEO of Vodafone. No, not CEO. One of the key managerial personnel was there, who is a husband of teacher teaching at our college. So he visited college. ऐसे ही बातचीत की हमने. सर ये 199 और ये 249 का आप लोग क्या रखते हो? Why 1 rupee difference and something like that? वो कहते हैं प्रॉब्लम ये है तिवारी जी, वो जो 1 रुपया होता है ना हमारे लिए वो thousands of crores बन जाता है. तो उसमें अगर कोई दूसरी कंपनी 199 पे रख रही है और हम 199 से 1 रुपया एक्स्ट्रा 200 भी कर देंगे तो हमें thousands of crores का लॉस हो जाएगा. So don't you think, Mansi, that in such a cutthroat competition, increasing the price of the product is too, risky proposition? Don't you think that?
Yes, sir.
क्योंकि तुरंत ही मार्केट शेयर ग्रैब कर लेगा कॉम्पिटिटर. जियो ने क्या किया? जियो के आने के बाद यही तो प्रॉब्लम हुई ना उनको. जितनी तेजी से मार्केट शेयर जियो ने कैप्चर किया उतना शायद किसी ने नहीं किया होगा. राइट. देखो पहले आप एक बात को समझो. वेल्थ, व्हाट इज वेल्थ? वेल्थ is a stock concept at one point of time, and it is sum total of all assets that you have. Now what are the assets a corporate has? Debt.
So market price of share.
Yes, market price of shares and market price of debt. In India, the debt is raised only 4% of the total corporate debt is raised through market. 4%, that's it. 96% of debt comes from financial institutions. LIC से ले लिया, बैंक से ले लिया. And that happens through private placement. Private placement मतलब issue नहीं. Straight away discussion हुआ, I'll issue this much of debentures and you give this much of amount. That means if a corporate takes its wealth at any point T, it will be equal to market price of debt, which is largely constant because there is no market, plus market price of shares. And I'm not assuming that there are preference shares. I'm assuming only equity shares. Only two sources of finance, debt and equity. Now, what is market value of equity share? Let us appreciate the income statement. You have sales revenue, and from sales revenue, you will reduce variable cost. You will come to know about contribution margin. Then you reduce fixed cost out of it. And what you get is EBIT, earning before interest and tax. From here to here, what are you doing? This is your operation, business operation. And from here to here, while your business operation, there is a risk that if there is a change in sales revenue, there will be a change in EBIT, which is known as operating risk. measured by operating leverage. Chalo, I'm not talking about leverage at this stage. Then what happens? Till here, what are you doing? You are actually generating. From here to here, you are generating income, right? You are generating income. And then it starts distribution. Then what happens first? You pay interest, because that's a committed cash flow. You have to pay, you pay interest. What do you get? Profit before tax. Some people call it EBT, some people call it PBT. I'm not interested. Whatever word you like, use. The idea is that this amount is available for distribution as dividend after payment of tax. So now you pay taxes. And after payment of taxes, you get profit after tax, right? PAT. And after PAT, what do? You pay for preference dividend if they are there. And if preference dividend is not there, then entire amount is for equity shareholder. Then whatever PAT is available, that PAT is available for equity shareholder. Now this PAT, when this PAT is divided by
number of equity share.
Available to
Number of
equity
equity shareholders.
Number of equity shares, we call it earning per share. What is the role of earning per share? Now, what is market value of equity share? The market value of equity share is equal to price to earning ratio multiplied by earning per share. Now, this is your wealth. अब मैं आपको इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट बताता हूं जो किताबों में नहीं मिलेगा, वो मेरी अपनी लर्निंग है थ्रू माय रिसर्च वर्क एंड ऑल. अब जरा ध्यान से सोचो, इस पूरे स्ट्रक्चर में इंटरेस्ट कम्स बिकॉज ऑफ डेट. नो डेट, नो interest. And I'm asking you about which security will be cheaper, equity or debt? Which one will be cheaper, equity or debt?
Debt. Sir, debt.
Sir, debt.
Debt will be cheaper. Why debt will be cheaper?
Sir, because it has a fixed rate.
Because of
Fixed rate that we have to pay
Tax
like
saving.
10%. Yeah.
Because of tax saving.
Okay, tax savings है, fixed rate है, absolutely correct, fine. But why these debt holders are settled at lower return? What is cost? Cost is just the counterpart of the return. If there are no frictions, then whatever is return expected by the fund provider is the cost to the company. So if there is no friction, whatever company gives is received by the shareholder or the equity debt holder. Then if I'm raising 100 rupee and paying you 10 rupee, the cost to me is 10%. You are giving me 100 rupee and receiving 10 rupee, your return is 10%. So this is calculated at a point of time, at one point of time, and it is equal to the expectations of the fund provider. So the question is, why do you believe debt holders settle at a lower return? Equity shareholders settle at a higher return. Now, there's one more concept that you must remember, and that is cost of equity.
Because of the risk.
Rather, return on equity. ROE. Now, return on equity is basically profit after tax for equity shareholder divided by net worth. or equity shareholders fund. Let me call it net worth only. So whatever is the net worth of the equity shareholder and return calculated on that, and that return is accounting return, that's PAT of equity shareholder divided by net worth, right? So why do you believe that debt holders settle at a lower return?
Sir, because the risk factor is less than
Why
equity.
risk factor is less?
Because they will get the interest payment regularly after the
Right.
employment.
It is because the
Equity
debt
shareholder will
holders face, you are right, it is because the debt holders have a preference on payment of the interest as well as their capital repayment. If the company is dissolved, whatever amount realized will be utilized to pay off the debt first. So they have a preferential right, and therefore their risk is comparatively lower, and therefore they settle at lower. So good that you people have understanding of this risk factor here. Now, so if debt is introduced and it is cheaper, isn't it PAT will be higher? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
PAT will be higher.
Yes, sir.
So why should we not go for more and more PAT? More and more debt? If debt is cheaper,
Interest obligation will more increase.
agreed, but comparatively that rate will be lower. So why should not we go for higher and higher levels of debt?
Sir, it will increase the financial risk.
It will increase the financial risk. What do you mean by the financial risk?
The obligation of the interest payment.
Sir, it will be leading towards the liquidity problem in our company.
Okay, it may lead to. Okay. So if a company is safe and it has sufficient cash, it is generating sufficient cash, will you suggest it should go for more and more debt?
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
No, sir.
No, sir, because I think we have a debt to equity ratio which is 2:1, and we should, I guess, maintain that ratio.
Now this 2:1 is a different thing. 2:1 is beyond which if you introduce debt, it will be too risky to hold the assets, right? But that's a thumb rule.
So if the
That's a
company
thumb.
is not earning profit, then also they have to pay interest on the debentures. So there is a risk in that key. They have to suffer
So
more losses if they are not earning more
So I'm
profits.
asking you, if the company is earning huge profits, higher profits, it should have more debt?
Sir, if
Then it should have more debt.
company is having regular earnings, then it can have more debt.
देखो दो चीजें हैं. One, it can have. Another, it should have. Tell me what? देखो दोनों में फर्क है.
Sir, more and more debt may lead to external intervention in the company's working.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And also, sir, it shows more debt will show that you are taking higher risk.
Okay.
Higher debt will not look good in
पर
the
मुझे ना
financial
अब तक
statements
वो
of
समझ में
company.
नहीं आ रहा कि वो इस सीरीज में कहाँ से रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहा है हायर रिस्क. ये हमने एक सीक्वेंस बनाया ना, इस पूरे सीक्वेंस में वो हायर रिस्क रिफ्लेक्ट कहां से हो रहा है, मुझे नहीं समझ में आया अभी तक.
इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट्स थे.
Okay.
जो हम इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट कर रहे हैं.
Sir, if there is more debt, more of the company's profit will flow out of the company to the outsiders. तो उससे wealth maximize नहीं होगी. इससे ज़्यादा debt लेना is not good for the wealth maximization goal of the firm.
अच्छा चलो इसको ऐसे रीड करते हैं. What's your good name? What's your good name?
Sir, कीर्ति.
कीर्ति इसको हम ऐसे इंटरप्रेट करते हैं. Company's earnings are 15% per annum. So return on investment is 15% per annum. The debt is available at 8%. तो अगर मैं 1 लाख रुपी रेज करूं डेट के थ्रू, so I will have to pay only 7,000 rupees as interest, but I will earn 15,000 as return. So जो 8,000 का एक्स्ट्रा है वो किसके खाते में जाएगा? शेयर होल्डर के खाते में जाएगा ना?
Yes,
तो
sir.
वेल्थ मैक्सिमाइज हुआ कि मिनिमाइज हुआ?
So wealth is increasing, but if there would have been less debt, the whole 15 could be transferred into the dividends or retained earnings, hereby increasing the wealth of the owners of the company.
अभी 1 मिनट रुको. My statement is challengeable. But I said because the company will earn 15,000 and it will pay only 7,000, therefore it will add rupees 8,000 to equity shareholders' wealth, and therefore value of the firm should rise. This is what I am postulating. ऐसा होगा? Don't know. Because there is one term that is price to earning ratio, which is equal to market price of equity divided by earning per share. Now, what happens that when you take more and more debt, although it is cheaper source of finance, but when you look at the benefit, then you are just talking about the benefit. But when the debt is introduced, it does have a cost, and that cost is known as financial distress cost. This I will discuss in detail when we will be studying capital structure theories. So when you introduce more debt, the change happens here. You absolutely correctly you found out the change happens here in interest component, but this change is reflected here in EPS. More debt means more variability in EPS. What is financial leverage? It is equal to percentage change in EPS respect to percentage change in EBIT. Percentage change in EPS with respect to percentage change in EBIT. So introducing more, and I can show it numerically, right? Introducing more debt in the capital structure, of course, you are very right. This market price is a factor to be reckoned with and to consider. This market price is not in your control, it is in the control of market. So your move of raising more debt, how market sees it? Positive, negative?
Excuse me,
so
sir.
a manager has to look at that how market will take this decision. When you introduce more debt, there is more variability of PAT and more variability of earning per share and greater. What is risk? By the way, what is risk? What is risk?
Such a chance of failure of payment of obligations.
Sir, variability in returns.
Yes, variability in returns. Variability in returns. How do we capture it? Variability in returns. What is the return here, Pat? So if there's more debt, there will be more variability in return, and more variability means what is standard deviation? What is variance? Variance is square term of difference from mean. So you have x1, you have x2, x3, x4. You compute mean, and you have x minus mean, x2 minus mean, x3 minus mean, x4 minus mean squared. You get the variance. Must have studied in statistics. So higher the debt, higher is the variability in return, and higher the variability in return, lower is the confidence interval that I will be getting these assured returns. So risk is more, and if the risk is more, then expectation of the investor rise. And if the expectation of the investor rise, the discount rate rise, and therefore value of the firm goes down. So wealth can also be treated like this. What is wealth? Equal to present value of all future benefits. So if I talk about this sense, then what is wealth? Wealth is market price of equity shares. Just see how we started discussion and where we went and then coming back to original question. So market price of equity plus market price of debt, and market price of debt is largely given because there is no flourishing market in India or Indian context. But of course, in the developed nations, there are developed markets where the debentures are traded. So market price of equity, what market price of the equity will be? Market price of equity will be, let me show you through on paint, show you on paint, because there I can write. So what is wealth today? This is sigma I goes from 1 to infinity. Now what it is? Dividends or returns, right? So dividends divided by 1 plus r raised to the power I. Now this is what you have studied. Dividend of I plus 1, dividend of I divided by 1 plus r raised to the power I. This is because equity share ka kya hai? This is wealth in terms of only equity shares. And I'm assuming 100% payout, so no retained earnings and no capital gain. If there's capital gain, the capital gain will be added over here. Just to keep it simple. So what is the wealth in terms of equity shares? It is basically the total value I will derive by holding this equity for infinite number of years. That means dividend expected at the end of year 1, dividend expected at the end of year 2, and so on, dash, dash, dash. It is only 3 dots, and so on, plus dividend expected at the date of infinity. This goes till infinity, so just let's put it like this. This sequence is followed for infinity. Now you discount it with 1 plus r raised to the power 1, and then 1 plus r raised to the power 2, and you do it till infinity. And when I wrote it in summative form, then you could see here, this is the outcome. Here is the catch. Here is the catch. One aspect is how much my business is profitable. How much my business is profitable. If my business is more profitable, I can give higher amounts of dividends. So I'm saying my business is more profitable. Right? That means this dividend and the profitability comes from the return capability. So if you put your money in a bank, the return will be different. If you put in your equity shares, it will be different. आप SBI में FD कराओ तो रिटर्न 6-7% होगा. उसी SBI बैंक के शेयर्स खरीद लो तो शायद आपका रिटर्न 10-12-15% होगा. That means this income, dividend or capital gain, what you will be getting is a function of what? Return. This is a function of return. So higher return, given all other things constant, a company will give you higher dividends. So it is function of return. The problem with profit maximization as an approach is the managers focus more on this component, return. But if you put your money in FD, your return is low. You will get in the form of interest. It will be low, 5 to 6%. But risk is almost negligible because certain amount is assured by the government. In case of loss, they have the right to print the money. They can print the currency and will give it back to you. And then SBI is also, having bank of all government offices, and so you believe SBI is too large to fail. There's a research going on that banks that are too large to fail. So what is happening with them? So SBI is one bank which is too large to fail. So there you are assured almost. So risk is almost negligible. I'm not saying no risk, but I'm saying negligible. But when you buy shares, your return will be higher. You will get it in capital gain terms by changes in the price in the market. But do you really believe there's no risk? The market works, the market moves on the basis of the sentiments. The market moves on the basis of information. Which information? Price sensitive information. If there is a slight change in return in US in upward side, you find your stock market going down because people take out money and then go and then put in the US. So there's more risk. This R discount factor, do you really believe the same return you will expect from an FD and same return you will expect from an equity share? Do you really believe?
No, sir.
So you expect
No,
higher from equity share or lower from equity share?
Higher.
higher from equity share. Sir,
Why?
as a
Why?
risk
Because
is
there
more,
is
so
greater
return.
degree of risk. Because there
Yes,
is
sir.
greater degree of risk. So if there is greater degree of risk, your discount factor rises. So this discount factor is basically function of risk. This is function of risk. And your return is a function, your dividend is function of return. Let's say capital gain bhi kar lo. Capital gain plus dividend, whatever you take it. This is what you will get as return from holding equity share. So these two are functions of return, while this discount factor is function of risk. Wealth maximization focus on both risk and return. So it evaluates that whether a particular project is able to offset the risk or not. While profit maximization as an approach focus more here. That's return. I'm not saying that's bad, but there's a problem of taking too huge a risk. एक स्टोरी हुई थी Volkswagen के साथ. I don't know whether you have come across it ever or not. A few years ago, 3-4 years ago, there was a news in the market that there was some fraud detected regarding Volkswagen cars. What happened? There was an instrument which was wrongly placed or which was incorrect relating to pollution. So generally क्या होता है, एक लॉट में अगर कोई पार्ट खराब हो तो कंपनीज कॉल बैक देयर कार्स, they fix the issue and they return it, but the part was costly. So the managers decided, let's do one thing, not call the cars and replace the asset, replace that particular part, rather put another device which whenever someone will check the pollution level, it will always say pollution under control. Now this device putting on will be cheaper as compared to that faulty component of the car. Now, what they did? They worked on short-sightedness. When we say short term, it may be 1 year, it may not be 1 year, it may be 2 years also. But short term is a short term. But they are all relative. Short term, long term, these are all relative terms used in different. In some sense, even 5 years is short term. In some sense, even 6 months is long term. So these terms are always, subject to some context. So they saw that let's do one thing. Do not replace that part in that engine. Rather put another device. So whenever the person will check, it will always show pollution under control, pollution under control. So they saved huge money. Therefore, their profits will be too high. Accounting profit will be too high. Otherwise, क्या होता? The replacement cost would have gone to profit and loss account. It would have reduced the profit. It would have reduced. क्योंकि profit down जाएगा तो dividend down जाएगा. And if there's a dividend down, then what will happen? What is the price of the share? The price of the share is equal to earning per share into price to earning ratio. And this price earning ratio is very important factor. So if your earning per EPS goes down because of that decision, the price will go down. So wealth of the shareholders will go down. Or if because your dividends are down, the price is also expected to go down. This price will also go down. And the price goes down, the price earning ratio will go down. So your price, ultimate market price of the share will definitely go down. तो थोड़ा लॉस होता वैल्यू का, बट फाइन. अब क्या हुआ इन 2016, if I'm not wrong, it was detected कि ये प्रॉब्लम है. And the market had a bad sentiment about the company and they lost $2 billion in market capitalization. $2 billion. ये है short term और long term का sightness. You are more interested in quick profits, not giving damn to the risk, or giving low importance to risk with more importance to the returns. That's the difference between your profit maximization and wealth maximization approach. In wealth maximization approach, अब क्या हुआ? कंपनी की जो रेपुटेशन गई उसका क्या? An irreparable damage has been done that cannot be brought back. So if there is a price sensitive information coming out, how the market will react? You're taking decisions accordingly. So you're not only taking decisions for return perspective, also keeping it for risk perspective. So when you analyze both and then take a decision, you are trying to maximize the wealth. I'm never saying that without profits, you can have more wealth. How can you have more wealth? You have to have earnings, but that earning should be, it is very popularly said in the market, okay, it is not the EPS, but it is the quality of EPS that is important. Because if EPS is increased, of course, it will increase. If you introduce more debt in the capital structure, the quality of EPS will, the EPS will rise, earning per share will rise. But along with that, it is also adding more risk. So market may take it in a way that though EPS is rising, but the price is falling in such a way that ultimately your market price going down. Generally, the family-owned businesses, India is characterized by family-owned businesses. 2/3 of the businesses on an average belong to family-owned businesses. So they avoid debt for several reasons. Number one, debt introduces external monitoring, and they don't want to, external people to monitor their functioning. and it adds risk, and they don't want to add risk because ultimately it may lead them losing the business. But there was a problem between 2007 to 2014. My research says that in the last 60 years, now this is not my research, this is a statement given by Prime Minister in Lok Sabha. That in the last 60 years, the loans given were 15 lakh crores. And from 2007 to 2014, the loans given were 52 lakh crores. So more than 3 times the loans were given to the corporates in 7 years as compared to 60 years. Now that gave a question to me, that is it that now if the loan is disbursed to corporates, then is it for wrong reasons only? It may be for good reasons only. If the economy is going up, if the economy is performing well, the corporates need money to invest. And where they will get the money from? Because in 2008-9, there was a global financial crisis. And if there's a global financial crisis, the market sentiment is down. The market is down. You cannot go for IPO. You cannot go for FPO. खरीदेगा कौन? मार्केट में कोई पैसा लगाना नहीं चाहता. There was a 67% fall in 2008, the stock market from the previous levels. So ऐसी सिचुएशन में पैसा कहां से आएगा? लोन से आएगा. So I said, okay, what is harm in that if they have taken it? Ab देखो, contrary, to the contrary, during the coronavirus time period, all economies of the world are going down. Within the same time period, US stock markets have made $200 billion. कुछ मतलब मजाक नहीं लग रहा. The whole economy is down and they're making $200 billion. India, Sensex is running like anything. And with FPO, Zomato came with IPO, sorry. There are many IPOs which are oversubscribed. क्योंकि market sentiment अच्छा है. They're expecting this corona will go and we will ultimately have a very good economy and this and that. So I decided to investigate into it. कि अगर 2007 से 14 में corporates ने indisciplined borrowing की है. What is indisciplined borrowing? You don't need money like that, but you are borrowing it because it's given. अब होता ना बहती गंगा तो हाथ धो लो, देखी जाएगी क्या होगा. Then in 2015, rather sorry, 2016, there was an act passed by the Parliament, IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. I said that if loans were given non-judicially or the borrowing was indisciplined, then after introduction of IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, the corporates must discipline their borrowing because there's a fear of losing control of the business. IBC में एक provision है कि अगर आप default करते हो तो जो creditor है वो जाएगा NCLT में, National Company Laws Tribunal. और फिर वो क्या होगा, वहां से एक पर्सन अपॉइंट होगा जिसको कहते हैं इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल, और वो क्या करे, रिजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल, सॉरी आरपीस, रिजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल, और वो पूरे मैनेजमेंट को अपने हाथ में ले लेगा. कंपनी के जो मैनेजर्स हैं उनके हाथ में कुछ नहीं रहेगा. अब इंडिया में कंपनी के मैनेजर्स है कौन? वही जो प्रमोटर है, वही जो शेयर होल्डर है. तो जो प्रमोटर शेयर होल्डर है वही कंपनी का मैनेजर है. अगर उसके हाथ से कंट्रोल ले लिया लिक्विडेशन के टाइम पे, तब किसके बेनिफिट में जाएगा? क्रेडिटर के बेनिफिट में जाएगा. देयर इज अ बोर्ड, इंसॉल्वेंसी एंड बैंक्रप्सी बोर्ड ऑफ इंडिया. उसकी रिपोर्ट है जून 2020 तक 250 कंपनीज वर लिक्विडेटेड, सेंट फॉर लिक्विडेशन. and the conflict, the resolution days came down from 1500 days. पहले कभी insolvency case लगता था 1500 दिन, अब 380 दिन में खत्म हो जाता है. So if all these things are happening, I decided to check whether their indisciplined borrowing was there or not. और जब मैंने एनालिसिस किया तो पाया कि after introduction of this, corporates have reduced their borrowing, significantly reduced their borrowing. क्योंकि उनको डर है, फियर है कि कंपनी का कंट्रोल हमारे हाथ से चला जाएगा. इसका मतलब वो डिसिप्लिन नहीं था. अगर डिसिप्लिन होता, अप्रोप्रिएट होता, तो आपने उसको रिड्यूस नहीं किया होता. Whatever law is enacted. So whenever you analyze anything, आज मैंने आपके कोर्स से संबंधित की बजाय अभी तक जो बातें की सब कोर्स से संबंधित है, तो इसमें कुछ भी एक्स्ट्रा नहीं है. But I'm trying to give you a different picture as well. That please don't stick to your books. देखो क्या हम कॉमर्स वाले लोग हैं ना, हमें तो कहा जाए 2 पत्तों में डिफरेंस बताओ तो हम 10 डिफरेंस लिख देते हैं कि इसकी नुकीली है, ये ज्यादा चौड़ा है, ये ज्यादा पतला है. नहीं, we have to strike to the core, focused, right? So when I say profit maximization and wealth maximization, वो बहुत सारे आपको अपने पढ़ा हुआ जो भी किताब आपने पढ़ी होगी, प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइजेशन इज वेग. पता नहीं कौन से प्रॉफिट की बात कर रहे हो आप, ईबीआईटी की बात कर रहे हो, नेट प्रॉफिट की बात कर रहे हो, ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट की बात कर रहे हो. नहीं भाई, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. क्या वेग होता है? कंपैरिजन के लिए आप एक वैल्यू लेते हो, उस वैल्यू को लेके कंपेयर करोगे, उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है? देन इट इज शॉर्ट साइटेड, इट इज रिस्की. पर रिस्की क्यों है, कैसे रिस्की है, वो हम नहीं बताते. सो एज अ टीचर, जब आप इस इंडस्ट्री में एंटर करोगे तो आपको अपनी फंडास क्लियर होने चाहिए. उसके लिए आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा और उसके लिए आपको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. उसके लिए आप जो सीख कर अभी तक आए हो उसको सब भूलना पड़ेगा और नए सिरे से दोबारा लॉजिकली इवेलुएट करके चलना पड़ेगा. एनी क्वेश्चन टिल हियर इफ यू हैव, otherwise I'll proceed with time value of money. Yes, any question if you have till here?
Sir, I have.
Yes, please.
So I have 2 questions. First one is, you said if we introduce lot more debts in our structure, it will lead to variability in returns. I just want to understand how it will lead to variability in returns, especially the EPS. You said it will impact our EPS.
Right, no problem. Okay, what is the second question?
Second question is about EPS quality. Again, it's regarding that you said if we introduce more debt, then it will increase the EPS. So I just want to know how it will increase the EPS, earning per share.
Okay, fine. I'll answer these questions, no problem. So assume that there is a company right. There is a company that required 10 lakh rupee as capital investment. Right, this is the total capital required. 10 lakh है, 1 crore है. 10 lakhs here, right? So this is the capital requirement, and let's have some. What is the per share face value? Just 10 rupee. So how many number of equity shares? Number of equity shares will be this divided by this. Okay. Now let me introduce one more row here. For how much amount we are raising through equity and how much amount we are raising through debt. So I'm saying let's have 10% debt. So 1 lakh rupees raised through debt. So what is the amount raised through equity? The total capital required minus the amount raised as debt, 9 lakhs. So how many number of equity shares? 90,000 equity shares will be issued. Okay, right. Now I take it to my right. Now I'm saying the debt will be 20%, that is 2 lakhs. And I'm saying the debt will be 30%, let's say 3 lakhs. Right? Now I'm saying EBIT, I'm removing these because we are talking about financial risk only. So operating risk for the time being discussion is over. And I'm saying the debt cost is 10%, while the return on asset is 15%. So if EBIT is 15%, what is the income? What is earning before interest and tax? The total capital invested multiplied by 15%. So this is my EBIT. This will remain same irrespective of what is the capital structure because it is the overall earning of your firm. How much is the interest component? The interest component is debt amount multiplied by 10%, that is the rate of interest. So here we shall be paying 10,000, here we shall be paying 20,000, and the next we shall be paying 30,000. Right. Now, what is profit before tax? Profit before tax is EBIT minus interest. Taxation I'm taking as 30%, so whatever is profit before tax multiplied by 30%, that becomes my tax amount. What is PAT? PAT is profit before tax minus the tax amount. Let's see, preference dividend is not there. So whatever is the PAT, that PAT is available to equity shareholders. Now what is EPS? Earning per share is the PAT available to equity shareholder divided by number of equity shares. The PAT available to equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. So here it is 1.08. That's what EPS is. Let me round it so that we can have some meaningful value. And I copied these calculations to my right so that we can see what is happening with EPS. So you see, EPS is rising from 1.09 to 1.14 and from 1.14 to 1.2. It's rising. Now, what is the change? Let's see the percentage change. Now, more EPS means if the price to earning ratio is constant, if price to earning ratio is constant, let's say 12, what will be the market price? The market price will be equal to earning per share into price to earning ratio. That is, the market price will be 13 rupee per share. If this remains constant, please mind it. I'm saying if this remains constant, then this will keep on changing. So more EPS means greater value of equity share. Now let's bring in the variability. What is change? Change is current minus previous divided by previous. Current minus previous divided by previous. Now press enter. Here the change is 4.86%. or 4.59%. But if I take this to my right, here the change is 5.26%. So when you introduce more and more debt in your capital structure, given all other things constant, the variability changes. There is greater degree of variability here. What will happen if I introduce not 30%, but let's say 40% of the debt? The variability is what? 12% is the variability. So variability in EPS rises with greater level degrees of debt funding. Now the question is, will this price to earning ratio will remain same? Will depend upon whether how this market takes your financing decision. If the market takes your financing decision to use here, let's say I'm assuming कि यहाँ तक market ने allow किया आपको कि ठीक है, this is expected, but 40% of the debt is to use a debt, and they reduced their price to earning ratio. What is price to earning ratio? Per the price paid by the market for every rupee you earn. That's price to earning ratio. How do you compute it? Market price divided by EPS. That's how you have price to earning ratio. So if market takes your decision a risky decision, too risky a decision, what the market will do? It will lower the price. And if it lowers the price, your price earning ratio may come down to 11. Now your variability is 12%. अगर 10% भी मार्केट डाउन कर दे आपके प्राइस को, प्राइस अर्निंग रेशियो को, तो फिर क्या होगा आपका? Now what is the market price here? 13 rupees, right? Market ने 10% डाउन कर दिया 13 rupees से. So how much is it now? 11.7 rupees. What is the price to earning ratio? 11.7 divided by price EPS, 9.14. So market may reduce it to 9.14. If the market reduces it to 10, because there are other factors also playing in, what will be your market price? Even if it goes to 10, the level of 10, your market price will be 12.8, which is lower than 13. So this quality of EPS is also important. If the market takes this EPS as a very risky EPS, it will give you lower price. It will quote you lower price. And that is where there is a risk that the market price per share may go down. Now, in the context of India, shareholders are not only the managers, promoters are not only the promoters, but they're also the managers. So, whatever is the market price of their equity share, whatever their wealth is not only in the form of what return they get, in the form of salary, compensation, and perquisites, but also in terms of what the value of the shares that they are holding. Why do you issue equity shares to sweat equity shares? Sweat equity shares. Why do you issue to the employees or the managers? Because you want them to believe that whatever decision they are taking, if the market price of the share goes up, their own wealth will also go up. So introducing debt has several implications. अच्छा, एक implication positive भी है, आप देखो. If you raise debt, then owners do not have to dilute their ownership. जो शेयर होल्डिंग उनके पास है वो रहेगी उनके पास. They do not have to dilute it. Right? I hope I answered this question.
Yes, I understood. Thank you.
Any other question, please? Or I
Sir,
should proceed further?
सर कैन यू प्लीज एक्सप्लेन मार्केट प्राइस जो आपने 13.08 कैलकुलेट किया है वो फिर से कैसे कैलकुलेट किया?
देखो थोड़ी अजम्पशंस पे कैलकुलेट किए मैंने
हाँ जी।
अज्यूम किया कि मार्केट जो है वो हमें 12 रुपए का प्राइस अर्निंग दे रही है।
ओके सर।
तो अगर मार्केट 12 रुपए का प्राइस अर्निंग दे रही है और मेरा अर्निंग पर शेयर 1.09 है, तो जो मार्केट प्राइस होगा वो क्या होगा? व्हाट इज मार्केट प्राइस? आप देखो EPS when multiplied by price to earning ratio होगा, EPS से EPS कैंसिल हो जाएगा ना, EPS से EPS कैंसिल, क्या बचेगा? प्राइस। तो अगर मैं EPS को प्राइस टू अर्निंग रेशियो से मल्टीप्लाई कर दूं तो व्हाट आई विल गेट इज द मार्केट प्राइस। ठीक है ना? तो आई अज्यूम कि ये EPS, ये प्राइस अर्निंग रेशियो है। देखो जब when two companies merge, they are not bothered about the current price earning ratio. They are more, but they are more bothered about their future price earning ratio. कि जब दोनों कंपनीज एक साथ मर्ज हो जाएंगी तो फ्यूचर में उसकी प्राइस टू अर्निंग रेशियो क्या होगी। ये जब आपका मर्जर एंड एक्विजिशन वाला चैप्टर कराऊंगा ना, वहां आप देखना इसका क्या गेम चलता है, क्योंकि जो प्राइस अर्निंग रेशियो फ्यूचर में होगी वो डिटरमिन करेगी कि मुझे बेनिफिट होगा या मुझे लॉस होगा।
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other question, please? देखो मैं बेसिक फंडे आपके क्लियर कर रहा हूं अभी, ठीक है? फॉर्मल एनपीवी, आईआरआर ये सब मैं अगली क्लास में शुरू करूंगा, और उसमें भी आपको एक बात ध्यान रखनी पड़ेगी हमेशा कि थियरी, आई विल ऑलवेज फोकस ऑन थियरी, लॉजिक। आपने वो एनपीवी का फॉर्मूला रट लिया, मुझे उसमें इंटरेस्ट नहीं है क्या एनपीवी? ये रिटर्न क्या है? अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट क्या है? और इन दोनों के बीच में रिलेशनशिप क्या है? इसको अप्रिशिएट करना पड़ेगा। अच्छा तो एनपीवी आईआरआर में क्या डिफरेंस है? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एनपीवी एंड आईआरआर? कुछ याद है आपको? नहीं?
Sir, could you please repeat your words again?
I'm saying, can you please tell me the difference between NPV and IRR? Do you remember? नहीं, कोई बात नहीं। Yes, yes, please.
Sir, NPV is the discount rate at which NPV is 0. No, sir, I mean IRR.
नहीं, दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है? What is the difference between the two?
Sir, I know. Sir, NPV is the present value of cash inflow minus present value of cash outflow, sir.
Right. Then what is IRR?
Sir, IRR.
IRR is the discount rate at which present value is 0.
बेटा वो तो सही है, लेकिन ये IRR डिस्काउंट रेट ऐसा ही क्यों है कि उस पे एनपीवी 0 है? सवाल ये, IRR से अगर डिस्काउंट रेट, अगर हम IRR से डिस्काउंट करेंगे तो अच्छा आप बताओ, IRR और डिस्काउंट रेट दोनों सेम है? Do you really believe that IRR and discount rate both are same?
Sir, I think IRR is considered on the break-even point of the cash flow. That's why we consider as 0.
नहीं, मैं क्वेश्चन ये पूछ रहा हूँ कि क्या IRR और डिस्काउंट रेट दोनों सेम है? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, sir.
अच्छा, good. Both are different. अगर both are different, then what is the difference?
सर आई थिंक जो डिस्काउंट रेट होता है वो ये हमें कैलकुलेट करके देता है कि जो हमने मनी फ्यूचर में स्पेंड किया है उसका हमारी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू कितनी है, दैट इज डिस्काउंट रेट। एंड आईआरआर हमें सर आईआरआर ये करता है कि जो हमारी एग्रीगेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू है कैश इनफ्लो की और जो कैश आउटफ्लो की है वो दोनों इक्वेट करता है कि वो दोनों इक्वल होनी चाहिए, वो रेट हमें बताता है किस वैल्यू पे दोनों इक्वल हो जाएगी।
पर वो है क्या, मतलब वो रिटर्न है क्या, वो आईआरआर है क्या चीज?
सर आईआरआर एक डिस्काउंट रेट है जिसपे हमारी दोनों वैल्यूज इक्वेट होती है,
अरे ये तो
कैश इनफ्लो और कैश आउटफ्लो।
पर मुझे एक बात बताओ, चलो छोड़ो, इस कॉन्सेप्ट को अगली क्लास में डिस्कस करेंगे डिटेल में जब एनपीवी आईआरआर पर डिस्कशन होगा। सबसे पहले एक छोटे से क्वेश्चन का जवाब दो जो एमकॉम में ही पूछा गया था। एंड द क्वेश्चन इज, if there is no time value, if there is no what's called inflation, there is no inflation, there is no time value of money. पहले तो ये बताओ कि टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी होता क्या है? And do you agree with this statement also? दोनों बातें बताना मुझे, what is time value of money and whether you agree with the statement or not.
So time value of money is something related to compounding. Like every year, the compound interest and on the particular amount the interest gets calculated. But I don't know about this sentence.
So someone else knows. हाँ काजल बताओ.
So time value of money is the value of certain sum of money that we receive today, and the money that we receive in future. They will have the different values.
क्यों?
So because time has some value.
But why time?
Because of the compounding.
Interest, which is
the compounding effect and discounting effect.
Because of the compounding effect.
Sir,
Someone
because of
has raised the
inflation
hand,
too.
but I'm unable to find out who the person is who has raised the hand. Compounding effect. So just tell me, if there is no inflation, can I say there is no time value of money? Can I conclude that?
No, sir.
Why?
So because even if there is no inflation and we have some amount of money, if we keep it idle, it won't increase. But with time, if we invest it somewhere, it will increase in value because we will get returns. Except from inflation, well kept in a bank account or invested in market, it will earn some amount of money.
Absolutely. Because the amount that you have is having a return prospect. And because of this return prospect, the cash flow that arises at two different points of time are not similar. They are dissimilar. Right? So if you have 0 period, 1 year, and now let me take it to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the cash flow that I have today, let's say 50,000. And the cash flow that I have at the end of year 50,000, 5 rupees 50,000, both are not same because the earlier, अरे हाँ मैंने वहां पे जो बात लिखी थी उसमें एक चीज मैंने क्या लिखी थी, जरा मुझे देखने देना, जस्ट होल्ड ऑन। वो 4 चीजें लिखी थी ना मैंने, हाँ, इंक्रीमेंटल री इन्वेस्टमेंट, ये अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट तो उसमें आ जाएगा, री इन्वेस्टमेंट। This is important, reinvestment. If there is no reinvestment opportunity, there is no time value of money. Because the money that we have can be reinvested, the money that we have can be reinvested. That is why we say there is time value of money. So 4 things you need to take care of. One is risk, return, incremental cash flow, which I will explain while calculating cash flows, and reinvestment rate assumption. The difference between NPV and IRR is of reinvestment rate assumption. अगर मैं 100 बच्चों से क्वेश्चन पूछूं ना, उसमें से 90 बच्चे मुझे यही जवाब देंगे कि IRR एक रेट है, कैन नॉट बी एडेड, इज फ्री फ्रॉम ओरिजिन, एनपीवी एब्सोल्यूट होता है, IRR रिलेटिव होता है, एनपीवी बेटर होता है, पर क्यों होता है उसका जवाब नहीं मिलता। द रियल डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू इज री इन्वेस्टमेंट रेट अजम्पशन। वो तो नेम बता रहा है कि एनपीवी इज एब्सोल्यूट एंड IRR इज रिलेटिव, वो रिटर्न है, return is always relative. So the real difference is reinvestment rate assumption. खैर इस पे डिस्कशन हम करेंगे. Now let's me proceed further. So if we have, so this answer is wrong, it's not true. Rather there has to be reinvestment opportunity, and if there is reinvestment opportunity, there is time value of money. And if in your answer you do not give a damn to this reinvestment opportunity, then your marks are liable to be cut, because that's the main reason behind time value of money. So this means that because the cash available today can be reinvested, so future cash is having a lower value as compared to present cash. Because if I have 50,000 today and I invest it for 5 years, let's say at 5% only, then what will be the value? It will be 50,000, that's the value today, into 1 plus R. What is R? 5%. Raised to the power 5, that's the life. So the 50,000 rupees that I have today is having a value of 63,814 at the end of year 5. So if I want to compare the two different amounts arising at two different points of time, I need to do one of the two. Number one, either bring down future value or future cash flow to today, that is present value. क्या मेथड होगा? PV, calculate present value. The technique is what? Present value, or what we say, discounting. Another is bring up or calculate terminal value, or rather the future value of today's cash flow. Future value of today's cash flow, which is known as discounting, compounding, sorry. What do they mean? If I have some cash here, this can be invested here, the interest will be earned, then invested, interest will be earned, then invested, interest will earn, and then ultimately come here. So when you compute your future value, it is equal to present value, that's the value today, multiplied by 1 plus R raised to the power n, multiplied by 1 plus R raised to the power n. This technique is known as compounding. और देखो ये आप पढ़ के आए हो, तो मैं बहुत टाइम इसमें खर्च नहीं करूंगा, क्योंकि हमें बहुत कम नंबर ऑफ लेक्चर्स मिले हुए हैं. अदरवाइज मैं एक पूरा क्लास खत्म करता इसके ऊपर, बट आई विल नॉट. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू द जिस्ट. ठीक है? हाँ, किसी दिन टाइम मिला तो मैं एक्सेल में जरूर करके दिखाऊंगा आपको कैसे होता है एक्सेल में. अब इसके साइड्स को मैं चेंज कर देता हूं. सपोज आई वांट टू गेट द प्रेजेंट वैल्यू. If I want to get the present value, what I will do? I will take these two left hand side, and this will become present value equals to future value divided by 1 plus R raised to the power n. This technique is known as discounting technique. If you are discounting future cash flows, you will get present value. If you are compounding present cash flows, you will get future value. But to compare two amounts, you will have to keep them at the same level. Just two small examples I'm giving you to illustrate it, and then I will stop the lecture today. There is a bank that offered the following, that you give me 50,000 rupee today, right? And for the next 5 years, I shall be giving you 15,000 per annum. So cash inflow will be 15,000 per annum for 5 years. If you do not take this offer, then your alternate rate of return is 20%. So you can put this amount elsewhere and you can earn 20%. But you are trying to evaluate this. So if you reject this project, you are not going to keep this money with you because there is a reinvestment opportunity. And the reinvestment opportunity is at 20%. So if you take this project, you will leave this opportunity. So because to take this project, you will have to leave the 20% return. This is also known as opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is cost of next best alternative. Opportunity cost is cost of next best alternative. Let's evaluate. You are saying you are giving me this thing. So because I could earn 20% already, you should give me something which is greater than 20% to this. But this is completely uncomparable. Why? Because look at this. The total amount you will be getting is 75,000. So your outflow is 50,000. Your inflow is 75,000. Because your inflow is more than your outflow, the return is positive. There's more return into it. But the question is the return enough or it is not enough? And for that, there are two ways to do. Number one, you calculate future value means terminal value, fifth period. You calculate future value of this 50,000 rupee and these cash flows and take them on one particular date. So either take all cash flows to future date or take all future cash flows to present date. If you take it to future date, it is compounding, otherwise it is discounting. So let me talk about discounting first. How will you discount then? Let's discount it. It is equal to, क्या था formula discounting का? ये था future value, that is 15,000 divided by 1 plus R. R कितना है? 20%. Raised to the power n. N क्या है? When it is getting occurred. Okay. So let's write the formula. It is equal to future value, which is this amount, divided by 1 plus R, which is 20%, raised to the power 1. अब ये कैश फ्लो 1 साल के लिए डिस्काउंट होगा, ये कैश फ्लो 2 साल के लिए डिस्काउंट होगा. So let us discount.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but you have write 1 minus R in the formula.
1 minus R. अरे हाँ, ठीक है. Sorry. This will be 1 plus R. वो गलती होगी. So what is the present value? The present value is sum total of the present value of cash flows, which is equal to 44,859. इसका मतलब ये जो आप कैश फ्लोज मुझे दे रहे हो ना 15,000 रुपए 5 साल तक, इनकी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू में जो वैल्यू है मेरी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू टर्म्स में वो सिर्फ 44,859 रुपए है. इट मींस if I have 44,859 and I invest it for 20%, every year I will be getting 15,000. I repeat, if I have 44,859 rupee and I invest at a 20%, every year I will be getting 15,000 for 5 years. So if the same return can be generated on an investment of 44,000, why should I pay you 50,000? So I will reject. This is a discounting technique. What about the compounding technique? Let's talk about the compounding technique. Okay. Now, this cash flow of 50,000 that I have, if I do not put here in this particular project, I can invest at a 20%. किसी का कैमरा माइक ऑन रह गया, प्लीज स्विच ऑफ कर दीजिए अपना माइक. If I do not put this money here in this project, I will invest it at 20% and I will be earning 20% return on it. For how many years? For 5 years. That's the duration of the project. So what should be the future value of 50,000? Let's compute it. So future value of cash outflow. Future value of cash outflow. Now the future value of cash outflow will be equal to this cash outflow into 1 plus 20% raised to the power 5, raised to the power 5, and this comes out to be rupees 1,24,416 rupees. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? If I do not invest in your project, I can put this 50,000 for 5 years at 20%, earning a return of a total value of 1,24,000. अब अगर मैं फ्यूचर वैल्यू के सेंस में आपकी वैल्यू को देखूं तो क्या होगा? लेट्स चेक. सॉरी. So what will be now? अब क्या होगा देखो. After 1 year I will receive 50,000 and my terminal cash flow is occurring in which year? 5th year. So this cash flow can be invested for how many years? 4 years. So let's calculate the future value of this. Equals to this amount multiplied by 1 plus R. What is R? 20%. And what is the exponent? इसका होगा 4 साल, यानी total life minus the life past. This 15,000 in 4 years will become 31,000. And if I continue this, ये जो last cash flow होगा 15,000 का, ये तो invest होगा नहीं. My project will come to an end. So what is the total future value? The total future value is sum total of these 5 future values, which is equal to 1,11,624. अब देखो, आपका जो project है, that is giving me a future value of 1,11,624. So if I take up the project, the total value I will be having after 5 years is 1,11,624. Alternatively, if I do not invest into it, then I can invest this 50,000 at 20%, making a value of 124,000. Should I take this project? Yes or no?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Tell me what may be the reason that this present value is lesser than 50,000 or this future value is lesser than 1,24,000. What may be the reason?
Discounting.
क्या? Discounting क्या? The reason is I'm discounting with the 20%. अब formula देखो.
Time value of money है इधर.
अब बोलो क्या? Time value of money में क्या?
कि मतलब प्रेजेंट में जो मतलब इस पैसे का वैल्यू है वो आगे इन फ्यूचर मतलब वो नहीं रह रहा है, इस वजह से मतलब टोटल फ्यूचर वैल्यू की मतलब इस पे जो टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी है उसकी वजह से आगे फ्यूचर में जो हमें रिसीव होगा वो आज के उससे कम है एक तरीके से. ऐसे
चलो जरा ऐसे कुछ करके देखते हैं. करके देखते हैं. आपके पास 100 रुपीज है. और आपने बैंक में किया एफडी किस पर 6% पे। ऑल्टरनेटिवली योर फ्रेंड वाज सेइंग कि भैया तुम मुझे दे दो 8% पे, या छोड़ दो उसको। योर फ्रेंड इज सेइंग कि मुझे 5% पे दे दो आप, 2 साल के लिए, फॉर 2 years. So the amount that you have today is X. You are giving it to your friend for 2 years at R. So what will be the accumulated value that you have? X into 1 plus R raised to the power 2. This is your future value. Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. But you are getting it at the end of year 2 with some return included into it. I don't know whether this return is sufficient or not. अब मुझे जानना है what is the value today. So I want to determine the present value. And to determine the present value, I will discount it with discount rate. Now, this discount rate is a function of risk, or this is also a discount. This can be a function of risk. This may be the opportunity cost. This may be the cost of borrowing. This can be anything. But this is your expected return from the investment. This discount rate is your expected return from the investment. Now tell me, if you are investing in a bank which is offering you 6% rate of interest, is this 6% rate of interest getting affected by your discount factor? Question is this. Question is, will bank modify their return depending upon the customer's expectation? Yes or no?
No.
No,
No.
sir.
No,
This
sir.
means this bank return that you are expecting here is independent of the expected return by you. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Whether your expected return is 0% or 2% or 5% or 20%, bank return will remain same. Am I right? Now what I'm doing
Yes.
with bank, I'm investing. Similarly, I could put this money in a machine and machine will give me the return. Similarly, I could use this money to open a new branch of my office and the office will give me a return. So that return is independent of your discount factor. This return is your IRR. This return is your IRR. Now, 3 situations may arise. What is NPV? मैंने कहा ना, आप लोग सिर्फ कॉन्सेप्ट को रटते थे अभी तक, अब रटना नहीं है, समझना है. To forget whatever you learned. उन स्टेटमेंट्स के पीछे जाओ, अंडरस्टैंड वो क्या कहना चाहते हैं. It is present value of cash inflows minus present value of cash outflows. यही होता है ना एनपीवी, हाँ या नहीं?
Yes, sir.
तो अगर मैं कहूं कि ये प्रेजेंट वैल्यू नहीं है, एनपीवी है, so can I say कि this expression minus x, can I say this? Yes or no? This is present value of my cash inflow.
Yes.
And this is present value of my cash outflow. Can I say this? Yes. Number 1.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The situation is that R is greater than D. मतलब क्या है? Project's return is greater than expected return. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Project return is greater than expected return. अगर ये सही है, then tell me 1 plus R will be greater than 1 upon 1 plus D or less than 1 plus D. Tell me what will happen. Which one will be greater, 1 plus R or 1 plus D? Which one will be greater?
1 plus R.
1 plus R, because R is greater than D.
R is greater than D.
So this will return you a positive NPV. This will return you a positive NPV. Why positive NPV? Because देखो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है. This expression is greater than this expression. तो ये जो expression है, इसकी value more than 1 हो गई, right or not? This value is
Yes,
greater
sir.
than 1. तो इसकी जो इसका outcome आएगा वो क्या होगा? Positive होगा. Right. Second scenario लेते हैं. R is equal to D. That means project is earning exactly the same amount what you are expecting. So your expectations and project's return both are same. तब क्या होगा? This will get cancelled. Am I right or not? अगर मैं ये दोनों divide कर रहा हूं तो इससे ये cancel होके क्या बन जाएगा? 1. Am I right or not? So this
Yes, sir.
whole expression
Yes, sir.
will get converted into 1, or 1 into x is x. X minus x is 0, and my NPV will be 0. तो आप जब कहते थे ना कि IRR is that discount rate at which my NPV is 0, इसका मतलब ये है, पहले तो IRR is independent of discount rate. So IRR is project's return. Right? अब मुझे पता है कि अगर प्रोजेक्ट का रिटर्न मेरे डिस्काउंट रेट के बराबर हो तो मेरा एनपीवी 0 होता है. तो आई कैन कीप दिस एनपीवी एक्सप्रेशन एज 0 एंड आई कैन सॉल्व फॉर डी, बट जो भी डी की वैल्यू होगी वही मेरा आईआरआर होगा. सिंपल. So this is how you determine, but the logic is IRR is a return of the project, whatever is the rate of return of that particular project. Third scenario, the return of the project, that is IRR, is less than discount factor. अगर ये
Excuse me,
है,
sir.
yes,
So could you repeat your last 3 sentence, especially the how it comes?
yes. What I'm saying, that I know if my IRR and discount factor both are same. If both are same, then my NPV will be 0. Why 0? Because इससे cancel हो जाएगा, and x minus x will be 0. So my NPV will be 0. And I don't know what my IRR is, and I want to determine it. So to determine the IRR, what I can do, I can easily write the expression here that NPV is 0, which is equal to sigma I goes from 1 to n, or 1 to n, cash flow of n, rather I, cash flow of I divided by 1 plus d raised to the power I. I know there is just one situation when this NPV can be 0, when my IRR is exactly equal to my discount rate. So if I equate this equation to, if I equate this equation to 0 and I just solve for d, I can say that this is my IRR, because only at that IRR level my NPV will be equal to 0. So this expression is more interested for determining the value of IRR than to comparing it for the project. I hope I answered.
Yes, sir.
If R is lesser than D, then this whole expression will be less than 1. this whole expression will be less than 1. So this expression will be less than x, and therefore it will return a negative NPV. ये रिलेशनशिप है आपके IRR, that is your return, and discount rate, which is your expected return, or opportunity cost. So तीन चीजें मैंने आपको समझा दी हैं: रिटर्न, रिस्क एंड री इन्वेस्टमेंट। अभी री इन्वेस्टमेंट में मुझे और भी कुछ समझाना है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एनपीवी IRR, बट आज के लिए मेरे ख्याल से इतना ही। नेक्स्ट क्लास में आई होप आपने क्लास एंजॉय की होगी। थोड़ा हम फिजिकल होते तो ज्यादा और बेटर लर्निंग होती, क्योंकि मैं आपके एक्सप्रेशंस देख पाता, बट अगर हमने अपने एक्सप्रेशन दिखाने के लिए वीडियोस ऑन कर दिए तो हमारा सिस्टम चलेगा ही नहीं। इट्स टू हैवी माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम्स। आई होप यू एंजॉयड दैट, आई कैन से, एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच। अच्छा, तो अटेंडेंस का क्या सीन है? हाउ अटेंडेंस इज टेकन?
Sir, no attendance in Seoul.
Sir, excuse me.
हाँ।
Sir, which book should be referred?
देखो, मुझे नहीं पता कि हाउ स्ट्रॉन्ग यू आर इन मैथमेटिक्स and how you have fared in your third year of BCom honors. But I generally refer I am Pandey, but I am Pandey is a technical book, very technical book, right? So the examples and all things that I do is from I am Pandey, but I have several other books also. Khan and Jan is, for one example, is a good book, very good book. But the examples are too heavy for you to handle. And there is RP Rastagi, which you are comfortable with. You already studied in your BCom honors. So if you want to refer any of the three books, that's fine. If you continue attending the classes, then whichever book you want to refer, you can refer. There's no issue. I will take care of the things. The only limitation that I have is the number of lectures are limited. Only 8 lectures are there. तो उसमें कितना होगा मुझे नहीं पता, ठीक है, पर जितना भी होगा आई विल ट्राई कि मैं जल्दी से
क्लासेस अरेंज नहीं कर सकते सोल से?
सॉरी
सर, एक्स्ट्रा क्लासेस अरेंज नहीं कर सकते सोल से? लास्ट टाइम भी स्टार्ट्स में भी कम टाइम था, पर सर ने किया था।
कोई बात नहीं, पहले ये देखते हैं कि इसको तो खत्म करें ना।
ओके सर।
क्योंकि फिनिश तो करना ही है, और दो 8 लेक्चर्स में से खत्म नहीं होगा तो मुझे पता है, बट फिर भी मैं काफी फास्ट चलने की कोशिश करूंगा। एंड लेट्स सी, आई विल टॉक टू सर। अगर हुआ तो 8 में तो नहीं होगा फॉर श्योर, बट ज्यादा होगी तो होगा, नहीं होगा वो देखेंगे कैसे होगा, ठीक है। सो आई होप यू एंजॉयड द लेक्चर। बोर तो नहीं हुए लेक्चर में ना? 2-2.25 घंटे हो गए हमें बैठे बैठे।
सर, मैंने एक्चुअली प्रतिभा का नंबर चैट में शेयर कर दिया, आप उसके साथ मटेरियल शेयर कर सकते हैं।
आप ना प्रतिभा को मेरा नंबर बता दो, वो मुझे कांटेक्ट कर लेगी।
ओके सर, ओके ओके,
ठीक है। हाँ, चलो, थैंक यू।
सर, आई हैव वन क्वेश्चन।
I'm giving you my number, but very often मैं फोन नहीं उठाता, because कई बार क्लास होती है, इंटरव्यूज होते हैं, मीटिंग्स होती हैं।
Yes sir.
तो अगर मैं ना उठाऊं तो इसका मतलब है कि आप मुझे व्हाट्सएप कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। 9899 9899 197
Yes sir.
454।
Okay sir, thank you.
9899 197 454।
Okay sir, thank you so much.
थैंक यू, थैंक यू। हाँ जी, कोई क्वेश्चन था कुछ? समोर वास
Yes sir. Sir, I was.
Yes sir.
क्या?
Sir, I have a question that you said that 65% of the promoters in India are they are managing plus they are shareholders. So is it and you said it's a good thing. I mean, they both work in a line. I mean, the objectives of both, I mean, management as well as the same. So
who is speaking right now?
So this side, Ankita.
Ankita, I never said it is good or bad.
So you
I
said
there are different points of view. One viewpoint says that it is good because it will reduce the agency conflict, because the managers are the shareholders. So they will not undertake any decision which will affect the market value of their firm. Because जो market value तो firm है वो कैसे translate होती है? Equity share से। वो promoter है, shareholder है, उसके पास shares भी हैं। तो अगर मार्केट वैल्यू डाउन जाएगी तो उसकी खुद की वैल्यू का लॉस होगा। और इंडियन कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में क्या होता है कि ये जो डेट फंडिंग होती है ना, डेट फंडिंग इज थ्रू इंस्टीट्यूशंस। इंस्टीट्यूशंस प्रेफर करते हैं ऐसी कंपनीज को लोन देना जहां पे प्रमोटर्स का इंटरेस्ट अलाइंड है बिजनेस के इंटरेस्ट, वो प्रेफर करते हैं ऐसा, क्योंकि वहां पे वो पर्सनली भी उसकी एक तरह से गारंटी हो जाती है उस प्रमोटर की उस लोन के प्रति। गॉट इट?
Yes, sir.
But it can be bad also. It can be good also. It can be bad also. Kyun bad
Yes,
also? These people are the managers, so there is a possibility that they can expropriate debenture holders' money into their own benefit, or they can make policies which can create a conflict between majority shareholder and minority shareholder. तो कुछ भी एब्सोल्यूट सेंस में नहीं होता, उसके हर रिलेटिव चीजों को देखना पड़ता है। ठीक है अंकिता, आई होप आई आंसर्ड।
Yes, sir. So इसकी वजह से I have just one. I mean, मेरे mind में एक question आया था that why European companies are more effective than Asian companies. I mean, if Asians are, I mean, promoters and the shareholders are same. I mean, managers and shareholders are the same one. Then there should be more growth as compared to in European companies. The management is done by some other person. So why they are growing more as compared to Asian companies?
Have you heard of Lehman Brothers?
Yes, sir.
What's the story about Lehman Brothers? Just read the story of Lehman Brothers. World's fourth largest bank collapsed due to the wrong decisions of the managers. Just read this as a case study. And at the end of the day, they went happily home after getting compensation and all. Nothing happened to them. And also, when you say they are more or better performing than Indian, you will have to come out with certain measures that on these counts I'm saying these are better and these are not. So my answer will be there, available there, only if you can come out with those bases on which you are comparing these two European firms and Indian firms. Then only I can answer you, because in a overall scenario can't say. There may be Adani Group, Ambani Group, Tata Group, Futures Group, they're all working good. So the question is that, and ऐसा नहीं है कि वहाँ यूरोपियन का जो कंपनीज हैं वो फेल नहीं होती है, वो भी फेल होती है। मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया, वो अमेरिकन कंपनी थी जो वर्ल्ड की फोर्थ लार्जेस्ट कंपनी थी, बैंक था, दैट फेल्ड। एमरन का केस आपके सामने है। तो फेलियर सक्सेस दोनों जगह पे है, लेकिन किस ग्राउंड पे ऑन एन एवरेज आप कह रहे हो, ऑन व्हाट बेसिस के यूरोपियन आर मोर सक्सेसफुल देन इंडियंस, वो जब तक बेसिस मुझे अंकिता नहीं बताओगे मेरा आंसर कभी कंप्लीट नहीं होगा।
मैंने यही रखा था कि अगर मैनेजर्स एंड ओनर्स और शेयर होल्डर्स सेम है तो फिर ज्यादा ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए, बट यू सेड
नहीं,
कि
बट वो ग्रोथ आपने मेजर कैसे की? हैव यू मेजर्ड द ग्रोथ?
सो मेजर इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट?
इन व्हाटएवर टर्म। भाई देखो, जब आप कंपैरिजन करोगे दो कंपनीज को, आप कह रहे हो ना ग्रोथ, सो ग्रोथ इन व्हाट टर्म्स? साइज, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी, मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन, किस सेंस में आप कह रहे हैं कि ग्रोथ है और इंडियन फर्म्स की कम है, वो एक बार देखना पड़ेगा ना, पहले आप कंपेयर करो उसको। और इट्स अ गुड आइडिया, यू कैन राइट अ पेपर ऑन इट, you compare the growth rate of Indian firms and European firms, and there will be a good paper on it.
Okay sir, thank you.
हाँ, लेकिन उसके लिए बेसिस बताना पड़ेगा कि मैं जो कंपेयर कर रही हूँ वो इस रेशियो के बेस पे कर रही हूँ या इस बेसिस पे कर रही हूँ। आप अपना कोई नया रेशियो भी दे सकते हो कि मेरी डेफिनेशन ये है ग्रोथ की, और उस पर मुझे लगता है कि यूरोपियंस आर बेटर देन इंडियंस। ठीक है
So,
हाँ जी।
sir, I wasn't really clear on the topic that no inflation and it leads to no time value of money. Can you please explain it a little again?
देखो, what I said was कि generally we relate reinvestment, we relate time value of money with inflation, or sometimes students relate. And they say because future में purchasing price कम हो जाएगी and other reasons they keep on giving, and therefore I need to have a time value of money. मैंने ये कहा कि inflation has a bearing on what is expected return from the investment. मान लो अगर inflationary market है तो आप ज्यादा रिटर्न एक्सपेक्ट करोगे, अगर इन्फ्लेशनरी मार्केट नहीं है तो कम रिटर्न एक्सपेक्ट करोगे। यहां तक तो ठीक है, लेकिन इन्फ्लेशन और नो इन्फ्लेशन, जब री इन्वेस्टमेंट की अपॉर्चुनिटी है तो टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी है, अगर री इन्वेस्टमेंट की अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है तो टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी नहीं। दिस इज व्हाट आई वांटेड टू से। ठीक है,
Excuse me, sir.
हाँ जी।
टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी तो मतलब जैसे हम 5 इयर्स का एंड में रिटर्न देख रहे हैं तो वो अगर हमें इंक्रीज होके मिलता है तो वो तो हम तभी कहते हैं ना कि टाइम वैल्यू है, तभी हमें वो इंक्रीज लगता है कि हाँ ये।
अच्छा, मान लो वहां तो आप एक रिटर्न भी अज्यूम करते हो ना कि रिटर्न 5%, 10%, 12% कुछ तो रिटर्न होगा ना।
यस सर।
अगर वो रिटर्न कमाने की अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है आपके पास, फिर 100 रुपीज आज है तो भी आप बक्से में रखोगे और एक साल बाद मिलेगा वो भी बक्से में रखोगे। अगर इफ यू कीप इट इन बॉक्स इट विल रिमेन आफ्टर 5 years also, इट विल रिमेन 100 रुपी ओनली। अगर आपके पास री इन्वेस्टमेंट की अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है तो फिर टाइम वैल्यू कहाँ रहा? फिर 100 रुपी आज आप अपने बॉक्स में रखो या आप किसी और की पॉकेट में रखो, 5 साल बाद दे दे आपको, फर्क क्या पड़ता है? फर्क तब पड़ता है जब आपकी जेब में होता और आप बैंक में रख देते तो वो ग्रो करता, लेकिन सामने वाला ग्रो करके नहीं दे रहा मुझे, तो प्रॉब्लम है मेरे लिए। गॉट इट?
यस सर, यस सर।
एक्सक्यूज मी, सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम।
ओके सर।
नहीं, किसी ने कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा था क्या?
यस सर।
क्या
सर आपने बोला कि जैसे कि हम लोग अगर डेट फंड से वो उठाते हैं, फंड उठाते हैं तो वो कंट्रोल लूज हो जाएगा। सर वो मुझे समझ में नहीं आया, कंट्रोल कैसे लूज होगा? वो तो इक्विटी में होता है ना।
डेट फंड से अगर हमने पैसा नहीं उठाया तो लूज होगा कंट्रोल।
ओके सर।
So अगर what people do, they raise fund from debt funds because they want to retain control over the business. नहीं तो फिर ओनरशिप डाइल्यूट हो जाएगी, इक्विटी पे जाएगा तो।
यस सर।
हाँ
सर एक छोटा सा पॉइंट पूछना था। एक्सक्यूज मी सर।
हाँ जी
सर लाइक जैसे अभी आपने बताया था एफडी का पॉइंट, तो एफडी में जो इंटरेस्ट होता है वो होल टाइम के लिए सेम होता है? लाइक जो भी इन्फ्लेशन वगैरह का अगर उस पर भी इफेक्ट पड़ता है तो उसका रेट सेम होता है?
जब आप एफडी करते हो उस समय जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट होता है वो लॉक हो जाता है आपके लिए, फिर इन्फ्लेशन का कोई भी रेट हो, आगे फ्यूचर में कोई भी रेट हो, डजंट मैटर।
ओके सर।
चलो देन, थैंक यू वेरी मच, सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम।